Hi, I'm Sarah and I am going to show you how to make 7 days worth of dinners for just $1 per serving. Now, a few things just to consider first. Prices vary throughout supermarkets throughout New Zealand. Even the same chain of supermarkets like Pack and Save, North Island prices different to South Island prices, and also even just week to week. So the prices that I worked out at the start of the week probably be different to even the prices now when I go do my shopping today. I will be showing you how to make these dinners for the $1 mark per person, and many of them you can make adjustments. So I'm going to explain how you can adjust it, how you can sort of zhuzh it up a little bit to bring it to maybe just over the $1 mark per person. That, you know, just makes it that little bit extra yummy. I'm feeding a family of 5, so a lot of the dinners that I make will be like one pot dishes. So I bung all the ingredients in and then, you know, divide it all by 5, and that's how I get the $1 per person thing. So obviously adjust accordingly or make the same ratios as mine or a bit more or freeze some or whatever. Did I film this over the course of a consecutive 7 days? It might be evident during the videos. No, I did not because life happened. I filmed it over about 10 days. I had a few days in between where I just did different random things that came to more than $1 per person. Most of what I do this week are actually recipes that I have already done previous videos for. So what I will do is, if it's something that I have done a previous video for, I'll actually put a link down below that you can click on to see the full video. Just that this version I may have omitted or tweaked a few things just to make it in that $1 price range. So let's get on to it. Okay, so tonight I am doing baked potatoes. Big potato like this weighs about 390 grams. Now it actually makes for a fairly decent dinner. These are really filling. I got a big bag of them, 10 kilos for $10. So as I say, I have this rule when it comes to potatoes. I won't pay more than $1 a kilo unless I'm really desperate. So just so I know I'm not lying, I actually just went and checked the online shopping on Pack and Save. You can currently get a 5 kg bag for $4.99. So there normally is at least one type of potato that you can get for about $1 a kilo. So about 39 cents for a big potato. So, you know, not everyone will need one that size. So we've washed them, I've dried them. I'm just gonna put some oil on, salt them because that helps dry the skin out. Put them in a pot like this, and I'm actually going to cook them on top of the fireplace. So I'm not even using any electricity for this one. Now, as for what to put in these potatoes or on the potatoes, I will tell you how to do it to make this a $1 per portion meal. Creamed corn. 2 cans of creamed corn. You can get cans of creamed corn for about 99 cents. This pack, actually I think it's 95 cents at the moment for the value brand. The Pam's ones are about $1.19 per can. I actually did get this one for like 95 cents on special a few weeks back. You can get the 95-cent cans of corn, 2 of those, and 1 can of baked beans. Mix them all up together, cook that in a pot in the fireplace as well, and that makes a really yummy thing. I'll show you what I do, which does come to just over that $1 mark, because I think it is worth doing. Now, normally I would use 2 cans of creamed corn, although I've only got 1 can today, so I'm going to substitute it. We had some leftover veggies from last night, so I'm actually going to wave them up, just kind of smush them up to make them intermingle a bit more so the kids and the husband can't pick them out. Instead of baked beans, I'm going to add some chili beans. The chili beans are more like $1.89 per can. So, but it's nice. I really like, I like having a bit of a kick. If you want to add some more stuff to it, if you want to add some protein, then it's so easy to do. You can put just about anything. I mean, put up some, if you've got some leftover shaved ham at the end of the week, chop that up and put it in, yummy. If you've got bacon, oh yeah, bring that on. I like to add either grated cheese or some homemade Greek yogurt on top as well, just to counteract the spice. So I worked out half a cup of, I don't know how much cheese, I probably wouldn't even sprinkle on half a cup, but for argument's sake, I worked out half a cup of grated cheese is about 44 cents. If you use half a cup of Greek yogurt on top instead, I kind of use Greek yogurt as a bit of a sour cream substitute. If you're buying, again, there's lots of ifs and buts. If you're buying Greek yogurt, it will be more expensive. If you make it yourself, it will be 21 cents for half a cup of Greek yogurt on there. However you tweak it, it's still going to end up a pretty cheap dinner. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be doing pasta with a very basic tomatoey sauce. Now, of course, you can buy pasta really cheap. It's like, you know, I think it's 95 cents for 500 grams, or it might even be cheaper than that if you just buy the dried stuff. I'm going to make some fettuccine pasta. If you make your own pasta, to make enough for our lot, I make about 700 grams for this because pasta is the main element in this dish. And that includes about 4 cups of flour, which is about 600 grams of flour. So that costs 80 cents. So if you're making it with just flour and water, the pasta will just cost you 80 cents for about 700 grams. Now I am going to be making it with eggs because it is just so much more filling and it is really nice. So I'm going to use 5 eggs, so that'll equate to about $2. So that's the most expensive part of this. So it'd be about $2.80 to make enough, about 700 grams of fresh egg pasta. Okay, so that is the pasta done. With the sauce, first thing I'm going to do, chop up an onion, about 62 cents give or take for an onion. Here's where we've got some options with this. What you can do is I've got some little cheese Kransky sausages. I don't normally buy them, but they were on special. It was $10 for about 30 of them. I think it was about 800 grams in there. So I got some of them, so I thought that they're just going to add a nice little bit of flavour into here. You don't have to do that. If you add the Kranskys, that will add about $1.30 onto the total cost, about 26 cents per person. But that's one of these optional things. This is what's going to bump the whole thing up to slightly over $1 per person. So that's what the great thing about this sauce is. You know, you could chop up some capsicum and or with the onion, any kind of green leafy veggies as well, which I'm not including this time, but you can include any kind of meaty stuff, bacon, oh yeah. But yeah, so I'm just going to chop the Kranskys up really small and stick them in. While my helper's putting those Kranskys in, I'm going to put a teaspoon of crushed garlic into here, or, you know, a clove of fresh garlic. That might come even cheaper, I don't know, but I haven't got a garlic crushy thingy, so, you know. I'm also just going to add a teaspoon of mixed herbs. I'm just going to put in 2 cans of chopped tomatoes and juice. Okay, so this Smokey Beans, I have done a video on this before, but I'll do a quick rundown. Just heating some oil in a frying pan. Chop up either 2 small onions or 1 big onion. I'm going to put about 100 grams of shaved ham in there. But you know, any kind of, you can use more expensive ham if you want to, nice cuts of it. Or even better still, bacon, that will be more expensive. But 100 grams of shaved ham will be about $1 at the moment. So then, just to enhance that yummy, smoky, bacony, hammy flavour, we want 3 teaspoons of paprika. We're going to drain and add in 2 cans of cannellini beans, and then we add in 1 can of chopped tomatoes. Now, a few shakes of Tabasco sauce is really yummy in this if you want to add something else. Greenery, got a few mustard leaves from our garden. I also picked some radishes out of our garden, and these leaves, they can all be washed and used in things like this. So I'm just going to chop all this up and use. Of course, if you were to buy all this stuff, that would also add to it. There's no reason you can't have it just as is though. That is a really, really yummy mixture. Now it's worth noting, I mean, this is glorified beans on toast basically, but you could just open up a few cans of beans and that will be cheaper. Put it on toast, done. But you know, this has got veggies in it, it's got protein in it, it's just got a much nicer flavour. It is much more a family dinner rather than just beans on toast. If you want to beef it up even more, you could add another tin of tomatoes or even chop up some fresh tomatoes to go in there as well. And I've got a friend who actually did it, and instead of putting it on toast, actually mixed some pasta in with it. So, you know, there's different options for that mixture, but it is really, really yummy mixture. I highly recommend you give that a go. Okay guys, so on the menu tonight is going to be falafel burgers. Now, making your own burger patty with mince is cheap and yummy, and that's what I normally do. However, that's not a $1 per person kind of cheap. That's where falafel comes in. Often I like to put falafel in a wrap with some coleslaw and that sort of stuff. I just felt more like something a bit more substantial, and the burger buns I make are really, really filling. You really do only need one burger per person. You don't even need chips on the side. If you want to do chips, that's your business. Potatoes are cheap enough, do chips. Because I've already done some videos which I'll link down below on making burger buns. I'll be using the same recipe, and I've also done a video on how to make falafel. I will be doing the same recipe, except just to make it a bit cheaper, I'm not going to put the frozen peas in the falafel mixture. And I guess the only other change I'm going to make to my burger buns, instead of the milk, I'm going to be using whey that I've got left over from making yogurt. But in the pricing, I am going to accommodate for using powdered milk. Now, falafel. Where it kind of gets a bit variable. I'm about to assemble the burger now. You know, I mean, you can have it just like that if you want. Personally, I like putting a bit of mayonnaise in, a bit of tomato, a bit of beetroot, a bit of lettuce. Did I want to go to the extent of figuring out how much 2 leaves of lettuce were? No, I didn't. But if anyone else wants to do that, then go for it. But I mean, you know, just put whatever else you want in there. I mean, coleslaw, that's a really good option. Coleslaw and falafel go really well together, especially in like a burger or a wrap. You know, bean sprouts, whatever kind of salady stuff you want, or you can convince your kids to eat. So, you know, I'm not going to calculate exactly what a single serve of this salady stuff costs to go in there. Alright, let's talk pumpkin soup, because it's yummy. Now, this was actually a really hard one for me to price because of the varying seasons, varying prices, and pumpkins tend to vary a lot, depending on where in New Zealand you are, where you're buying it, what season you're buying it in. I'm actually just going to use one pumpkin, but I've got the half needs using up, so I'll use half of that, and you know, I'll use this and half of this. I checked Pack and Save a few weeks ago. Pumpkins were about $3 each. Now there's a place in Christchurch called the Funky Pumpkin, a fruit and veggie produce place at the moment. I looked up their prices. They are $1.59 at the moment for a pumpkin like this. So this is one of those, you know, seasonal recipes. If pumpkins are in season, then yes, you can absolutely make this a $1 per person dinner. Now the other reason this was hard for me was because normally every time I make pumpkin soup, it's slightly different. I normally just look in the fridge or the pantry, see what veggies need using up and just bung them in. So for the sake of arguments, I've got a few carrots. I weighed them, they weigh 300 grams. Carrots are about $3 a kilo at the moment, so that will be 90 cents. An onion, a decent sized onion, about 62 cents, give or take. And I've got some cabbage that needs using up, so I'll say use a quarter of a cabbage, which comes to about $1. So now, as well as that, I'm going to throw in about 3 chicken stock cubes, because I really like using chicken stock in pumpkin soup. Just the OXO cubes, they're about 20 cents each, so that'll be 60 cents worth of OXO cubes. And I'm also going to make a couple of loaves of bread as well, so you know, nice slice of crusty bread. So the soup itself will come to about 94 cents per serving, if it's divvied out between 5 of us. And add a nice crusty piece of bread in there, about 5 cents for a slice of bread for dunking, because that's yummy. So there you go, you got your $1 dinner. One tip though, best way of making pumpkin soup is to roast the pumpkin first, and I actually roast it on the fireplace. So it's about 11:30 in the morning now. I like to cook this throughout the day, and I'm going to cook this completely on the fireplace. Add whatever into this, put some potatoes if you want to really bulk it up a bit, or broccoli, anything, whatever you've got in the pantry that needs using up. And because I'm keeping this cheap, I haven't added like herbs or spices or anything. But if you want to add some herbs, like green herbs and that sort of thing, you can actually roast that in with the pumpkin, and that gives it a really, really yummy flavour. But as I say, for the sake of the $1 dinner theme, I'm keeping it very basic. So here we go. Okay, so that pumpkin has been pretty well cooked in there. It hasn't sort of roasted as you'd typically roast something. It's not like crispy on the outside, purely because there was a lot of pumpkin in there. It wasn't just, pieces spread out nicely as you would. So, it hasn't quite roasted how I'd normally like to roast it, because there was probably a bit more in there. So I'm just going to spoon that in with the rest of this mixture here, which is bubbling away nicely. Now you'll notice I don't take the skins off. I like using the skins. However, if you don't like using the skins in a soup, you chop them up beforehand, put some oil on, sprinkle a bit of salt on them, and chuck them under the grill and make pumpkin skin chippies. So we'll let that all cook up together for a bit, and we'll give it a whiz and see how it's tasting. Just taking that off the fireplace for a bit. Still looking nice and chunky. What I'm going to do is get my stick blender, give that a bit of a mix up and have a taste, and just see if I think it needs anything. If it needs any, salt or pepper, or, just taste it and adjust. Now, one thing I can tell straight away is that it's a bit on the thick side. So I'll probably put a little bit more water in with that. As far as flavour goes, it's actually pretty good. I'm going to stick a bit more water in there. Let that all cook together a bit more, because of course the better cooked it is, the better it will mush together. We want it nice and smooth at the end. So we'll cook that down a bit more, and we'll see how we go. For dinner tonight, I'm going to make some gnocchi, and I will put a link down below to exactly how I made it, but you'll see me doing it in fast motion. But what I will show you is a slightly different sauce. Now, this actually goes really nice. My first instinct was, we've got like a beef schnitzel to use up, and we've also got some like mushroomy sauce from when we had mushrooms growing in our field that we've got in the freezer. But I thought, no, it's not going to come to under $1 per portion. But just so you know, beefy mushroomy type sauce, yeah. But I'm going to do a veggie type sauce with this. Again, no reason you cannot add the likes of, ham, bacon, sausage, whatever kind of meat you want. No reason you can't. Or even like tuna, chicken, whatever, mix it in if you want to. But in keeping with the $1 dinners thing, I'm going to keep this one veggie. So I've got some potatoes cooking in the oven at the moment to make the gnocchi with, and I'm going to show you a sauce that is great for using up some leftover veggies. So I've got a bit of sad looking broccoli here, and at the moment my kids aren't big on eating carrots, So we've got plenty of carrots at the moment. Now, as I say, this is great for using up whatever kind of veggies you want to use up. So first thing I want to do is get a frying pan, start heating that up, put a bit of oil in the pan, dice up an onion, it'll be about 62 cents-ish. Actually, I heard something the other day about chopping onions. There are lots of theories as to how you can chop onions without getting tears in your eyes. Best one I've heard though is that if you wear contact lenses, it doesn't bother you. And that made total sense to me because I used to wear contact lenses. Onions didn't used to bother me nearly as much as what they do now. So there you go. I'm not going to go back to wearing contact lenses though, sorry. It's too fussy. I think I'll dice up a carrot. Dice up the carrot, chuck that in there as well. And whatever other veggies you're using. So chop your veggies up small, chuck them in with the onions. And you want to, when it comes to broccoli by the way, I just chop up the whole thing. I don't leave the stem out or anything. I literally chop up the entire thing, bung it all in. I've actually just got a few random leftover veggies from the other night. I'm just going to bung them straight in as well. Just because I remembered they're in the fridge and they needed using. What? I'm talking to the people. Also going to chuck in there about 2 teaspoons of garlic. Those veggies are just starting to get nice and tender. I'm going to go in there with 2 cans of chopped tomatoes and juice. And then I'm just going to flavour that with a decent pinch of salt. But I mean, you know, put a salt, pepper, whatever kind of spices or whatever you might want to. I'm just keeping this reasonably simple. I'm going to put a lid on this and just let it simmer away for about 30 minutes. Got my gnocchi all shaped. I've put some water on to start boiling to cook the gnocchi. And this sauce has been bubbling away for about 30 minutes now, so I'm going to take to this with a stick blender. As that's blending, just give it a little taste. Personally, I'm going to add a little bit more salt to that. But you know, just adjust. Okay, so I'm going to make my veggie curry for dinner tonight. Again, I have done a video on this. I'll link it down below. I'm just going to omit sort of a couple of the spices. I'm going to leave out the garam masala and the turmeric because they do add to the total cost. But this is another one of those bung whatever veggies you got in. Cauliflower is really, really nice in this. Personally, I've got some leftover veggies from last night that I'm going to chuck in. But as far as veggies go, I've allowed for about a cup's worth of veggies, but you know, just play it by ear. Add a bit more, a bit less. About a cup's worth of mixed frozen veggies, like the value brand stuff, will come to about 40 cents. That's just been bubbling nicely. That rice is now nicely cooked. What you can do now, you can just dish it up like that and it is absolutely yummy. What I like to do is, because I just like to get that sauce really, really nice and thick, so just an optional extra is a bit of corn flour mixed in with half a cup of milk, and just chuck that in just to thicken that sauce up a bit. Another optional extra that is really, really yummy is just put a decent tablespoon of Greek yogurt in with the mix. There we go. I hope that was of some inspiration, guys. Hit the like button, share this video around, hit subscribe, leave me a message, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.